So all the engine work and obviously all the manifold work and carbon work, that's all very well. But the car needs to be plumbed, and because it's a new setup, everything needs to be done from scratch. So I have a lovely gentleman here from APB Motorsport. Aaron, I've known him for a couple of years. We met at 10 of the Best. He has a 6 Civic, 4-wheel drive Civic. Here's Aaron.
Hi.
Kindly agreed to this mad house and mad time frame, and we are doing all the plumbing, so we have all the bits. These are lightweight, the lightest you can get, braided hoses with all the sexy fittings, and those are not your normal AN fittings you buy from Torque. By the way, I have nothing against Torque, been using them for years, brilliant, but these are proper crimped connections. So Aaron has a van with a full setup. So let me run you quickly what needs to be done. Well, basically everything. So to start off, obviously cooling. All of my cooling side of things are going to be on AN16 fittings. Lovely Darenza radiator that I've modified for AN16, so it goes from here to there, from there to pump and everything. And then obviously because this Darenza radiator has integrated oil cooler, so we need to run oil cooler lines all the way to the T7 design adapter plate, which is at the back. Then obviously we need oil drain from the turbo. That's fairly trivial, there's only one way it can go. And then all the sort of turbo cooling lines need to sort of find a way to connect all of those. Then obviously all the braking. Decided not to reuse, or try not to reuse, too many of the old fixings, because it was a bit of a mishmash after sort of upgraded to the pedal box and stuff like that. So it would be nice if everything was sort of tailor-made specifically for this application. And yeah, and and the fuel, obviously fuel, but again, fuel, I have all the lines, but again, because it was sort of extended, some of it has, you know, like different couplings, and it's just not as neat as it can be. But again, those fittings that Aaron is going to do, they're sort of lightweight hose, which is obviously the key with this car, lightweight, and they're properly crimped, and they're going to look sexy as fuck because they're gold. He did actually ask me, it's like, oh, what color do you want? I'm like, I have choice of colors. So yeah, because he has a picture on his Instagram. By the way, I'll leave a link to this man, to his company and his Instagram. Do go and check him out. Follow him. You know the score, please. So as far as I can see already, the process is fairly straightforward. You put all your fittings onto your components, and then you just measure and run the line. Is that correct?
Yeah, so find the kind of rope in the best way you want.
Yeah.
So
because I would have done it differently. I would have sort of started measuring sort of with the ruler, but this actually looks a lot easier. You just put all the fittings available where you sort of have them, and then you kind of fill in the blanks. Yeah. So
then you can always just keep everything, double check everything, don't crimp everything till you're kind of done, because you don't want to crimp something and then have to change it.
Yeah. Makes sense. So what we're trying to figure out now is the placement of the water pump of my Greg Davies EVP 130 water pump. Obviously it needs to be in the optimal position. So the best location that we can see is somewhere here. Obviously comes out from the pump into the engine and into the pump from the bottom of the radiator. I mean, this line is really easy. That literally just links up the whatever housing on the engine to the top of the radiator. That's easy. So it's only these 4 sort of entries and exits that need to be figured out. So I personally think water pump sitting somewhere in here. Don't worry about this 45, we're just trying. So 90 there, straight, 90 and 90. You know the score, go down into the comments and let me know. Is this the good position for the pump, or you would have placed it somewhere else? And don't start saying radiator at the back, pump at the back. I told you I'll do it at some point, but not right now. exactly the same story goes for the fuel lines. Everything has to be mocked up before it can be crimped. It's a very simple setup, similar to what I had on before. One in, one out, out through the regulator. From the regulator it goes to the fuel cooler, just a small 7-row cooler, and then back to the tank. So it's a returnless system. Regulator set to 3 bar, whatever it needs to be set on the K24. Yeah, there's not much to say about this. I guess you just need to see the final product. So yeah. So what are we doing right now? We're trying to run the lines for the oil cooler, the integrated one in the radiator. Unfortunately, because it's so tight, yeah, you wouldn't really think it's tight, but it is tight over there. We cannot run lines sort of on the outside of the engine, so they have to go under the engine. But there's plenty of space under the engine because I have the splitter and the cover flow and stuff, so it's not like it's going to be in any danger of bottoming out and being damaged. But it also will be nice and neat because there's less hoses running. Actually, that's what Aaron said. It's like running it under means less hoses, less clot. And I'm like, with sexy hoses like that, look at this. And another thing, when he asked me what color do you want, I said black and gold because it's a nice contrast. For some reason, I didn't even realize there's so much gold in here. We have gold plates. We have all the gold stuff from Funk Motorsport. The gold nozzles for the extinguisher. So all this is just really gonna sort of give it a splash of color. Have you had enough yet?
I'm alright. Keep plodding along, you need to get it done.
Another long day. So, plenty of things already kind of mocked up. It does take a long time because there's so many different lines, and obviously we want to do it perfect. We want to do it right the first time. So coolant lines, we're missing a few fixings that we did not anticipate for the bends. I mean, obviously Aaron cannot just have a full supply of everything in the world that is possible. So, but I'm actually quite impressed how many fixings you have in stock anyways. So it's almost like if it was slightly simpler job, right? If it was kind of a stock, whatever, then you would have everything on you to do the job. So the coolant lines are pretty much all there where we want it to be. All the fuel lines are there. Aaron is just literally putting all those sexy gold fittings. That's gonna look incredible, guys. So all of that runs from the rail. Like I said, I put the fuel regulator in here, goes into there. Then we have temperature, pressure. That's a pressure sensor, but I'll put the Bosch sensor that Haltech sent me. It's a dual pressure and temperature because I really want to monitor the temperature of the fuel. And then it goes into there. Then we have a small sort of kind of bulkhead fitting in there. Well, that's not kind of, that's actually bulkhead fitting. And then the lines will go under here in this thing. And then all the lines for the brakes are mocked up. So we have them running from here onto the pedal box. And then we have one line going to the hydraulic handbrake. Did I not tell you that this car is going to be competing at Drift Championship this year? I know, right? Front wheel drive and drifting. Anyways, that line will go down there, and I will be reusing some of my old brake lines because A, why not? They're absolutely perfectly fine, and B, because they're already all mocked up and it just saves us running all under the car and stuff like that. Yeah, it's all going really well. One thing that we were really sort of puzzled by, and I really want to ask this question for you guys, and probably somebody who knows their K20, K24s would have given me an answer, but by the time this video comes out, this thing should be running, probably. So it's almost pointless to ask, but because we are running K20 manifold, and we're running T7 design water plate, we're missing a few vital sort of auxiliary components like the oil water return. So I was thinking to return it here. A lot of people said no, so now we're going to return it here just after the pump, so it's all within the flow. So yeah, there was a bit of a headache sort of trying to find the best solution for all of that. Yeah,